Alexis, can you sum up your feelings at the end of that? An incredible finish.
Yeah, mixed feelings, to be honest. I love scoring, I love winning. So in that sense, yes, I think it's a really good day. But then, on the other hand, I don't think we play very well. So there is plenty of things that we need to improve. But it's always nicer when you win.
Let's start with the first one that went in but was disallowed. Did that hit your elbow?
It did, but I feel like it's a bit harsh because it does hit my back as well. So it's a bit of both. But I understand the rules. I just think that in football that's very harsh. But I think it was a fair decision.
Did it feel like the moment had gone then?
Sorry?
Did it feel as if the moment had gone, that was your chance? Did you think you'd get another?
No, I thought I was going to get another one. Even before a throw-in, I told Hugo that this was going to be our goal, our situation. And after that, I don't know if it was on that one or the next one, but I had another opportunity and yeah, glad that I went in.
Wow, what a finish at the City Ground. Liverpool denied once, but not to be denied twice, Jamie. And just how vital might those last few minutes prove to be?
Absolutely huge. I mean, that's one of the biggest robberies I've seen in the Premier League this season. It is. But what I will say is, there was a player who came on for Liverpool, Rio Engamoa, who came on in the 77th minute. He did more in 15 minutes than Gakpo and Salah had done up until that point. He absolutely changed the game, this kid, and he needs more of an opportunity. He does. He needs to start starting games. McAllister gets the winner. But unfortunately, didn't get the winner a few minutes before. But again, he was another player who really struggled in this game. And Liverpool do struggle physically, but that is for the summer in terms of what they do recruitment-wise and the makeup of this team. It couldn't cope for long periods of this game, but as I said, I don't think there was anybody better in Premier League history than getting last-minute winners, and that is Liverpool.
Credit McAllister. He kept his composure in that crucial moment, as Jamie says, already having been denied what they thought was the winning goal. But
it was an open goal, Dave. Composure.
He was still there. He was still there, Jamie. I've seen them miss from closer this season. Look at Cole Palmer 2 weeks ago, for example. But Darren, how tough does that feel on Forest?
Yeah, it's tough, but second half just didn't offer enough. I thought, and periods, yeah, they played really well, but never really tested Allister. Never really had a real foothold in the game, and I thought Liverpool raised it second half, certainly. But as you said there for McAllister, nice finish, middle of the 6-yard box. But if he's not there, you don't score. So
exactly,
if he's not there, you don't score.
Well, it could be absolutely massive for both teams, of course, because Forest are not safe yet, and he can barely believe what he's seen, Jamie, here.
But you know what? What he has seen in the first 2 games will make him really, really confident that they've got more than enough to stay in this Premier League. He's a really good coach, got great experience, and he's got some wonderful players in that Nottingham Forest team. And as I said, if they perform anywhere near as they have done in his first 2 games, they'll have absolutely nothing to worry about in terms of staying in the Premier League. They were absolutely fantastic, especially in that first half.
Yeah, incredible finish. Darren, let's first of all have a look at the one that was chalked up. Whether it hit his back or his elbow is a bit of a discussion point. He seems to accept it. But first of all, it was a great chance, actually, for Ekitike, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was, yeah, and Rio Engamoa done really well. I mean, he changed the game, as Jamie said, when he came on, and he just leaves it in a really nice area. But from there, Ekitike, I know it's slightly behind him, he has to score, because the pace on the ball, it's there. It then pops to McAllister, and I think it's harsh because, yes, it does strike his arm, but he's not looking at the ball. His arms are next to his body. I mean, by the letter of the law, it should be disallowed, but I still feel it's harsh.
Yeah, they did have a good long look at it, and if they can see that it has hit the arm, then they will disallow it, whether, of course, he's accident or not. So that was a big moment, and he thought maybe the chance was gone. Everyone thought maybe the chance had gone, apart from McAllister, who was convinced something else would happen, Jamie.
So he says, yeah, but I mean, I thought the throw-in was going to go in the box. Nottingham Forest had dealt with that really well. So Szoboszlai does brilliant here, just to get half a yard, and that's a wonderful ball into the box. And think with Van Dijk, actually, I think Van Dijk's header is actually almost not trying to score. Keep it alive, put it in a danger area. Now, I wasn't sure, whether it was Ekitike's foot or Lorena there just behind Virgil van Dijk. As I said, you're not quite sure, but the lines don't get it wrong whether they could actually see Lorena's foot there at the back post. But it was a really tight one. But I think Van Dijk does really well because it doesn't look like a header, but he's trying to score.
There's the Ola Reina boot, which is apparently playing Virgil van Dijk onside there. But Forest get themselves in a real tangle there, don't they, Darren, as well?
Do you know what they do? And I mean, it's a good save, but I think if Morello's not there, I do think Ortega just falls on it, gets in his arms, and then they all go up the pitch. But the fact that there's a bit of chaos because Morello's there, Ortega's there, that's why it pops out. And then again, McAllister doing what he should do, pop up in the 6-yard box and puts in the empty net.
90 plus 7 minutes on the clock. Liverpool's second latest winner of the season.
Actually, Szoboszlai and Curtis, if you've got a choice, they find that actually you're better off sacrificing Curtis to an extent if you have to at right back, because Szoboszlai is needed in the middle of the pitch.
Well, I said it in the build-up to the programme. For me, Joe Gomez has got to play right full-back. I think you look a far more balanced outfit with Joe Gomez at right full-back, and then you have to make the decision, obviously, who plays in the middle of the park. But if you've got a right-back sitting on the bench, and now whether it's because he wants to protect Joe with regards to his injuries or not, I'm not 100% sure. But if you're looking to play somebody at right full-back, play Joe Gomez. Simple as.
Yeah, I get the reason why he's not doing it. Joe's become so brittle that he wants to protect him. I think he wants to get more, not minutes in games, but more minutes in training to try and build him up to see what he's like. Joe seems to extend himself when he's first come in, i.e. Plymouth. He goes, and so I can see where he's doing. So listen, Gary, I would imagine he wants to play Joe, but he's thinking to himself, he's got to pick the right time for him. But the Dominic Szoboszlai thing, it was screaming for it. We said in the commentary, this has to happen. I'm not saying it was great and made, but within sort of 1 minute, all of a sudden the change happened. Why? Because of the press. And I think one of the first things that Dominic Szoboszlai did was close down, the keeper missed it, and we had our first opportunity of the half. And it just wasn't working the way it was. And I get it with Joe. But everybody would say quite easily, Joe should be playing right back.
On the late madness, thank goodness first and foremost for Ola Reina's left foot, because I think that plays Virgil van Dijk on, doesn't it, for what turns out to be the winning goal.
His toenail.
His toenail, thank you. Yeah. On the previous bit of madness to that, do you have a different view, you two, on what happened?
No.
Yeah, well,
please, Gary.
Well, when you look at it, I mean, like there's a certain angle when you look at it, it looks as if it comes off his back, but then there's an angle like that to show you it definitely comes off his elbow, and if it comes off his elbow, it's a handball, regardless if it's deliberate or not. That's the letter of the law. It's a rule, and it was rightly chopped off.
Gary, what happens to the close proximity? What happens to he's not even looking that way? No. What the hell? No, come on, Gary. This is.
All of these things, as far as I know, Phil, do apply unless a goal is scored directly from the intervention of the arm. However, unintentional.
To me, it is debatable where that catches him. Catching him in between, it's done a disservice to football disallowing something like that. It is. This is not the game that we love. This is not the game that we know. People play this game to high stakes. You can't have people making those decisions. That is a goal in any era whatsoever. Don't get me started, Gary. Please, I know they've disallowed it, but it shouldn't be. It should not be disallowed.
In an ideal world, Tom,
football is wrong if that's...
With the introduction of VAR and the new regulations, rules and laws, it's not a goal. It's chopped off. It's got to be chopped off. You can't just say, well, for the good of the game.
Made up things.
There's loads of things for the good of the game that shouldn't happen. It shouldn't happen, like all the tussling and like wrestling that goes on in the penalty box when there's a free kick or a corner. That's rubbish. Oh, players going down like pretending like they've been tackled and they're injured. That shouldn't happen in the game, but it does. It's part and parcel of the game.
That's rubbish. It was a goal.
Well,
my goodness.
Goodness
gracious.
Well, the fact of the matter is,
how did I think when I came in here after doing the commentary that you were gonna?
I watched it on the television, and I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. For the first three replays when I saw it, when it showed you from behind the goal, it did look as if it came off his back. Right, but then they showed you a different angle, and you can clearly see that his elbow actually moves when the ball was hit against it, and it did come off his elbow, his upper arm. Definitely, 100%.
Interesting. Should we? I think can we bring the panel in and get their view, because obviously we've got a nice, if you like, difference of opinion in here.
If either of you three agree with this fella here,
Chris will agree with me.
Right, let's start with Chris. Chris Coughlin, what did you? Are you with Tom or are you with Gary Gillespie here?
Hi guys, first of all. When it got determined as accidental handball, I was rather frustrated at that, just because accidental, he's clearly not meant for the ball to go in off there. McAllister's just made the motion to block the ball, hasn't he? He's gone to make himself as big as possible, while also his arm is still very much within the proximity of his body, by the way. And it just so happens to hit that part of his body and fly in the back of the net. So I think definitely the frustration was added to the fact that I was making notes throughout the game, and there was a lot of, basically feeling that Liverpool perhaps didn't really deserve to win the game, but nevertheless had done enough to look like they'd got over the line at that moment, obviously. But I can see from both sides. Maybe you think I'm sitting on the fence a little bit more, but
Chris, you're sitting on the fence.
I get what Gary means.
Chris,
I'm
just
with
agree with
Tom,
me.
I'm like, look, I
You know
wanted
I'm
the goal
right.
to be scored, didn't I? So... it's very tough. I can understand it, but now we don't have to focus on it as much.
Well, that's a good point. Yes, it kind of drifts into the background a little bit more, but it is an interesting talking point. Whilst we're on the thorny topic, Paul, over the pond in Delaware, was it chaos where you were, and what did you and everyone else think?
Yeah. So I'm with 30 people who would definitely not agree with Gary. There were people super obsessed about them being disallowed. And, I get technically we're doing the VAR thing, but I feel like we're only doing the VAR thing often when it's Liverpool. Like, I feel like, another team to be named later would have got that as a goal.
Yeah, interesting. Although I think most fan bases feel like that's goal one way or another. Courtney, what about your take?
I think for me it was also as well, he had this back sort of to the goal. It wasn't like he was aware as much as they're trying to make out by giving it as a handball. And like Chris said, it is, for me, not in an unnatural position, which they constantly go on about. I could understand if it was a European game, it being given as a handball, but with the Premier League rules, they don't seem as fair, especially in this moment for me, because it's it's to his side, his back's to the goal.
Close proximity, Courtney?
What?
Close proximity?
Yeah, it's one of those. It's not on purpose. It's not like he's moved to it. It's not like Maradona style handball where you see him full on going over to it. But
that was a good goal.
Yeah, it's one of those. I think it's one of those. It is 50-50 where if it's against your team, you're like, that's a handball every day. If it's for your team, we're all like, that should have been a goal. Yeah. Luckily, like Chris said again, it doesn't matter because he come back, scores again, and exact same celebration from him as well.
A late Liverpool change at the City ground, which seems to have had a big impact on the way they've gone about things. At least that's the excuse I'm making for them, Jamie. Curtis Jones coming into the starting lineup really late for Florian Wirtz.
He's come in really late and he's really struggled, and I'll be surprised if he comes out for the second half, and being totally honest. But 16 seconds into the game. Now, yes, you might say he's a slow starter, but when Curtis Jones is making mistakes in midfield, it's very similar to that. So it's not a new thing with Curtis Jones. He takes too long on the ball. I don't think he'll ever get that out of his game. He needs to be a lot quicker and a lot sharper, and that's always been his biggest problem. That's 3 minutes in, and Liverpool were having major problems very early in the game, and it hasn't subsided at all. Brilliant from the goalkeeper there, but Liverpool have been absolutely monstered physically. This team can't cope when a game is end-to-end in the Premier League. That's why they look a decent team in the Champions League. But this game, Nottingham Forest have been absolutely fantastic. To play Thursday night and pick exactly the same team and then put in a performance like this, but they've really let themselves down, Nottingham Forest, by not being in front. They should have made a lot more from the opportunities that they've had.
Sorry, Jamie, but strangely they've had 50 shots for us since they last scored a goal in the Premier League. Will they be going in at half-time thinking, yes, I'm pleased with how they've gone about it against Liverpool, but still worried because they haven't managed to find the net?
Yeah, absolutely. I think for all the kind of dominance that first half, they haven't tested the goalkeeper enough. I think we saw the good save there from Hudson-Odoi, from Allister, but other than that, they've got into really good areas, but it's either the final cross or the final pass, or even just hitting the target in terms of having an effort on goal. So I think they'll be happy with the performance, but in terms of where Liverpool, I think, have been at their poorest, for Nottingham Forest, you've got to make the keeper work, and they haven't done that, so that's probably the one disappointment from that first half.
There's been some horror shows from Liverpool this season in games. That's right there, right up at the top of the list.
And a slot hoping for a victory at Nottingham Forest today. Jamie, where are you on Mo Salah? It's only a couple of months that we were discussing whether or not he'd ever play for Liverpool again. This is his contribution post-African Cup of Nations. So what's your take on where he's at?
Well, listen, you'd always take that in the last 7 appearances, you know, the goals and the assists. So he's been involved. But I mean, we're talking about some of the assists at corners. One was a little roll to Szoboszlai, you know, on a free kick. He's got a couple of goals in there. One's a penalty, one's a free kick. Now, listen, we've seen Mo Salah all season. It's not the Mo Salah of old. But what he's done right now is, if you remember when we were speaking about Mo Salah, he wasn't actually in the team before he goes to AFCON. He's now in Liverpool's first choice team, and I said he should always be picked in home games, certain away games. I wasn't always sure this season, but as I said, at this moment I think there's a really settled team with Liverpool. But there was something the manager said a few weeks ago. He was actually praising us for his defensive work, so it looks like he's doing a little bit more of that than maybe normal. But listen, this team isn't the Mo Salah team anymore, because they've got Verters there, Ekitike, new players are coming in. How do you bed them into the team as well? So last season, he was playing with sort of 3 or 4 other attackers who were nowhere near his level. So almost everybody played for him. Now you've got other quality in that front four as well, as I said, with Verters and Ekitike. So it's not all about getting the ball to Mo Salah.
Well,
it's about getting to him as well.
Is it becoming the Florian Wirtz team, or is it too early to say? The fans seem to love him.
They do, and certainly in the second half of the season he's been fantastic. We know he made a slow start, but he still hasn't got the numbers to back it up. But when you're watching a game of football, you just look at him and you can't help but just love watching him play football. That's the way I feel when I watch him. But as we know, with all attacking players in this league, we look at the numbers, and those numbers will have to improve between now and the end of the season. But there's no doubt we're seeing his real quality in games now, and he's influencing games. And you think of the game away at Sunderland, tough place to go. No one had won there before in the Premier League. He doesn't sort of get the assist, he doesn't get the goal, but if you watch that game, he was the best player on the pitch.
What do you like about Ekitike's game, Darren, and how that's evolving?
A little bit of everything, the movement, the touches, the combination plays with Florian Wirtz as well. I think at times maybe in front of goal, maybe could be a little bit more clinical in terms of maybe rushes some of the opportunities. But I mean, it's all there. The size, the strength, the speed. We're just saying I didn't know too much about him in terms of his speed in behind. He can get away from defenders, but he's got everything. As I'm saying, the only thing I'd look at is the finishing, maybe the slight. I mean, yeah, the header, I think in his last one where he puts it wide, the combination play was there. But I really like him. He's going to get better. I think the Premier League's a tough league, really, really tough league. And people always used to say to me, your second season's always your more difficult because defenders know you, the Premier League knows you. But I've got no doubts that next season he'll be even better than this season. Yeah, but we're talking about Wirtz and Ekitike there, and we're saying they're doing really well and they're playing well, but they'd still have to go up a level next season for Liverpool to get back into the title race.
It won't be hard. It won't be hard. That was a really poor first half, particularly I thought by Liverpool. Hardly had a kick in the opposition penalty box. Just looked like Nottingham Forest had a little bit more energy. In saying that, they weren't much good either. It was a really poor first half, if I'm honest.
Yeah, and in terms of chances, we've had to dig deep, Tim, but just after 3 minutes, Hudson-Odoi had one, and it came from Liverpool giving the ball away.
I think the very aggressive press from Forest. They nick it off him, and Hudson-Odoi with the chance. It's a good run. I think it's a little bit clumsy. A couple of touches there he has. I think Allister does brilliantly in the end. But when we see the replay, you just look at Szoboszlai. He just slaps him on the back. It's just anything. You try anything when you're trying to recover there, and it's never a lost cause. There, you just see a little push where he gives him there. Just put there. That's the one on his shoulder. Just puts him off. But Allister does brilliant to save it. But that's a great chance for Hudson-Odoi.
Yeah, it's been tough for Liverpool. Not a shot on target.
They're not looking good. They're in a good place right now. If you see how they're playing, and obviously between Ekitike and Mohamed Salah, they are not getting on well. The time that they have to pass the ball, there is always like a second or 2 seconds late. And when you come to this level, it's already too late. And Liverpool are struggling, but these chances for them also, Wolverhampton, they have to start taking them. If you want to beat Liverpool at home, you have to start taking chances.
Tim mentioned Forest press there. That's caused Liverpool an issue in that first half.
It has, but wow, Liverpool have been wasteful still. I mean, yes, it can have an effect, and Tim's right, but you know, when you got the ball in safe possession and you know, misplaced passes, lack of energy, Do you know what? Lack of angles as well. Never thought I'd say it, but, you know, I look at this left-hand side, particularly Carragher. I mean, half the time he doesn't want the ball. In this situation, where he's jogging into... He can be open and not marked, and he jogs into places to mark himself sometimes. I don't think he wants the ball. I think he's really lacking in confidence. And then even when Liverpool do get a good moment like this, Ekitike reading the pass, wriggling free, couple of options now, and just takes that extra touch too many. I mean, Mo Salah got it in on the right-hand side. We'll see that after this one. Gakpo, I mean, how many times he just knocks it in with his right foot? I rarely see him go down on his left foot. And again, talking of weak feet, or a weak foot, Mo Salah on his right foot, crossing the ball. That's an opportunity. I mean, Gakpo at the back post is all alone. So, really poor from Liverpool. I mean, and that sums it up basically, doesn't it, in terms of advantage Nottingham Forest. Listen, we're not getting carried away with Nottingham Forest performances just yet, but they were marginally better, and that's what that shows.
Absolutely.